Hey everyone, there's something that I've been taking a peek at that looks to be coming over the horizon that I would like to try and articulate and elocute to express to other people and see if it resonates. I've been using an astrological lens to tell this story, and so I will try to introduce all the characters in a way that we can kind of understand. Um, but the year in question is 2020. And I know there's been a lot of stuff, back in 2012 about the beginning of a new era and all that kind of stuff. And I'll kind of revisit that in a minute. But looking ahead at 2020, there seems to be a lot of big changes coming up. Right now, we can kind of all collectively agree that, with this election and the state of world affairs and everything that's been going on, things have been seeming really tight and coming to a head, and change is like right around the corner, and all of these kind of feelings have been compacting and, getting more and more concentrated. And seems like we may be seeing that the theme of "It's always darkest before it's dawn" coming ahead, and I think we're all going to get to see whatever this new dawn, new day is. So two characters that I really want to concentrate on first of all are Pluto and Saturn. And then we'll bring Jupiter in a minute too. But Pluto and Saturn have been doing something quite pivotal around 2020, and Pluto's actually been kind of setting the stage for a long time. Pluto has been in the sign of Capricorn for quite a few years now, and Capricorn is a sign that is representative of world affairs, the government, all societal structure. So all of the solid structure of society is Capricorn. Pluto's nature is one like the Greek god Hades in the underworld that digs down to the bottom of stuff to see what's really going on, and it can also involve some power struggles and death, decay, elimination, transformation, all of those themes. And since Pluto is one of the slowest planets that's traveling, it spends a long time in a sign, and so it's spent a long time already in Capricorn, intensifying things, um, adding to manipulations, the shadowy side of government, structure, society, all of these power struggles, manipulations, all of those worst things get rooted up as Pluto's churning through an energy, and he's been doing that for quite a while. Um, Saturn is the planet that rules Capricorn, so it's got a natural affinity for the themes of structure and order and all of these things that build kind of the edifice and the structure of society. Saturn is going to be coming up to Pluto in 2020, and that is one of the major things that's happening because that's a fairly rare occurrence. I'd say it was probably, I think it was like 1980 or something, so it's not like super uncommon. I'd say about every 20 years or something, certainly every 28 years, just how long it takes Saturn to do around. But that's still a big time in and of itself. And so the symbolism of this testing and structuring of Saturn is meeting with this kind of digging and churning and uprooting and elimination, transformation energy of Pluto. They're both very slow planets. They're both very power centered planets. They're very powerful. They're very enduring. And they're very slow moving, so it's an intense effect over a long time, and it's got connotations of testing what our society is like, getting to the bottom of any sort of manipulations or things that have been out of place in society, and it's got, I mean, it could be a rough kind of a hard time. Saturn has the connotation of being hard. Pluto is intense. So it's not exactly, all sunshine and lollipops as these two energies are coming together. It's kind of like an upheaval of the structure of society, testing and fortifying whatever is sound and secure, but eliminating anything that's not. So that's happening in 2020, and that's happened before, but this time is especially interesting in light of some other aspects of the story. That conjunction is happening at 22 degrees Capricorn, which is also going to be conjunct the south node of Pluto and of Saturn. The south node of Pluto is at 20 degrees Capricorn. The south node of Saturn is at 23 degrees Capricorn. And so this conjunction happens at 22 degrees. It's right there at it, and that like 1 to 2 degrees is negligible. It can still be felt. And the south nodes represent past and releasing and things that are, going away. And we use in personal charts the south and north node of the moon to look at, past and future kind of orientations. But with these planets, it's talking about the energy of those planets as from a south position. And so when both of these planets are then touching each other on the place where their south nodes are also touching, and these south nodes move super slow, like slower than the planets. And it's also kind of implying something from the past related to power issues, intense power struggles, structuring, all of these things. Something from the past is kind of coming due or coming to a head and echoing back at this time. To make it even more interesting, the Sun, Mercury, and an asteroid known as Ceres are also going to be conjunct at the same point. So on top of Saturn and Pluto, we also have the Sun and Mercury and Ceres. Well, the sun is just shining a light on everything, and that makes it really personal and really out in the light of day. Mercury is the mind, the intellect, communication. So all of these things, there's definitely going to be a restructuring of our selfhood, of our way of thinking, our thoughts, our ideas, our opinions. All of those things. And Ceres represents the Greek goddess Demeter, and is an earth mother, nurturing food, this nurturing impulse. And so there's some sort of cleaving, almost like harvesting, like those themes are getting wrapped up and intensified in this melting pot of energies, if you will. And then Jupiter will also be in Capricorn, hitting the south node of the moon, which is also that south, that pulling away, like past energy. But it can be releasing some negative idealism, but it's got a positive sway. It's like a little push of faith and grace coming from a more recent personalized aspect of the past than the past equated with the energies of Pluto and Saturn, which are coming back around together at the same point and everything. So we've got this theme of Capricorn energies, all these planets in Capricorn, government, structures for the world, for society, for everything, the world stage, the outer world, the world of form. All of those themes are getting pressurized and tested, and what's not working is getting eliminated and cleaved, and it's a restructuring, shining a light on these problems. All of those themes are coming to a head with that. So that's kind of a big deal. And it will take place at the beginning of 2020. And this dance, though, is going to go all the way through the year 2020. Now, another aspect to this, besides that huge implication there, involves the planet of Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn is already involved with that Pluto thing, but Jupiter will slowly march forward toward a conjunction with Saturn. And so that's got its own importance because that happens every 20 years. So all of these like huge cycles are kind of happening together in a cluster. So this thing with Jupiter and Saturn touching that only happens once every 20 years will happen on December 21st, 2020, which I just, I realized the 2012 date was the December 21st also, but it's the winter solstice of 2020 when that conjunction happens. Now, you might say, well, that happens every 20 years. Well, to understand what those two planets are first. So Saturn, they're both related to our society. All like the Sun, Mercury, Moon, Venus, Mars, those are more personal planets. They have bigger ramifications too, but they're more personal. Saturn and Jupiter are about our society and kind of the structure of society. Saturn is about constricting and bringing things together and slowing things down and structuring, and Jupiter is about expansion and growth and all of those things. So it's like a breathing in and out with those two energies in a society. So structuring and then growth, and then bringing it in and then growth are the cycles. Well, Saturn moves slower, so Jupiter is going to be going into a conjunction with it. And I almost think of it like, they're both moving around, but Jupiter touches Saturn in various places every 20 years. Okay? And so it's happening this time in 0 degrees Aquarius, which, whatever. It's Aquarius. Well, it wouldn't be such a huge deal, except it's been in an earth sign since 1802. So this conjunction that happens every 20 years has been in an earth sign. In 1802 it was in Virgo. It dipped back. That was 1802 was when it started with Virgo. It dipped back into fire in 1821, and then 1842. The next one is in Capricorn, and then it's consistently in Earth from there forward, 1842 until around 2020. It dipped into air with Libra in 1980, 1981, and then back into Earth in 2000. And then it will be in air for 2020 on December 21st. And then it will be in air again until 2159. So for the rest of our life, this transit will occur in an air sign, whereas it's occurred in an earth sign up until then. So before it changes, it like bounces into the next, and then it goes back, and then it stays in the next. And so that has been a long reign of earth, and it's about to be air. Well, so if all the structures of society, the agreement is like, so Saturn is here with the structure and the foundation, and as Jupiter passes around, kind of like the moon going around the sun, it's a season of growth upon that foundation. And then at the next point, it's growing upon that foundation. Well, it's been cycling and growing around Earth's foundations for since 1842 at least. So all the themes of fossil fuels, coal, earth-based resources, cold, rigid, unrelenting, greed with resources, industrialization, all of these earth, old, slow, just, but consistent kind of thing, energies of earth have been what reign. As it gets to the air, there's a lot of implications for that. For one, we think about the age of the Aquarius. Well, when is the age of Aquarius? Are we already in it? Did we already pass it? Is it coming? Was it 2012? Time I see as being elastic, and so the exactness of whatever doesn't really matter so much as the theme and the big picture, and it's it kind of flexes a little bit. But this point where it starts a cycle of being in air for 2159, and it begins at 0 degrees Aquarius in 2020 amidst the other Pluto and Saturn stuff we just went over, makes it kind of feel like we're entering this Aquarian age. Our society, our structure, our foundation of Saturn will begin then in Aquarius, and that is what we will structure and grow upon for a season of 20 years. And then it will continue air. Well, air is about inventiveness, the intellect, communication, circulation. It also is going to, with especially Aquarius, bring in electricity, innovativeness, new forms of energy, newness, just explosions of things that collectivize us. It's all of the, the bright lights of new inventions, just new humanitarian causes. All of these Aquarian themes become what our society is built on. And it's after a period where Pluto has churned through the old Capricorn earth-based structures of society, government, world, and been tested and fortified and initiated through Saturn. So it's literally like we're breaking down and uprooting and eliminating all that we need to from this old way, keeping what's sound and intact while destroying the rest, and then entering into this Aquarian energy in a new way. Um, so that's pretty exciting. Also, at the same time, 2018 and then 2019, Uranus is going to be getting into Taurus. So it's changing sign. And Uranus is another one of the slow planets that looks at trends that are transpersonal, and anything past Saturn and Jupiter is more of a collective thing. It's like a galactic collective thing kind of. But the Uranus in Taurus portends again a revolution for economy. Taurus rules money. For resources, I would say new building materials, new things to structure things with. Also, just new inventions like manifest, like the manifestation, the materiality, the Taurusness of inventiveness, of free energy, of this electric, free, humanitarian, collective energy of Uranus becoming made manifest and tangible, while bursting through and breaking up any of those old systems that don't work. That's happening around the same time. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And so the theme of having the structure set in Aquarius with Saturn and Jupiter conjuncting there is mirroring some of the effects of having Uranus show up in Taurus to innovate and revolutionize all of our resources and our earthly materials and all of that practical nature. So it's like, again, we got this theme of destroying the old stuff, testing and rooting out elimination, and then a transformation and a breakdown and a restructuring. Yeah. So it's like when this Saturn and Pluto are conjuncting, it's this testing period where everything is it's up or down. Pluto is extremes, and things are either eliminated and destroyed, transformed and rejuvenated. And Saturn is a testing agent. It's going to make the hard work and the discipline, and it's got a heavy connotation. So that anything that is not in evolutionary alignment via Pluto gets anchored down, whereas anything that is evolutionary well is transformed, made new again, rejuvenated, uplifted, and initiated. I mean, that's that theme with Pluto and Saturn conjuncting in Capricorn. And then after that period, after that testing of all our societal structures, government, world position, that testing, then Saturn and Jupiter, the societal planets, conjunct and start a new cycle of 20 years, but a new cycle in larger. I mean, having Saturn conjunct Pluto was another new big cycle. And again, it was on their south nodes, all of this compacting stuff. When Saturn and Jupiter conjunct on Aquarius at 0 degrees, it's portentous of an age of Aquarius in our society. Aquarius implies brotherhood, collectivity, innovation, equality. It's the sign of hopes and dreams, of wishes, of innovation, of it's also, we'll put this out there, aliens. If there's any kind of disclosure, revolutionary, like the lid blown off with anything with that phenomenon. Intuition, an increase of the electric jolt of intuition through Aquarius. It also rules astrology, so new ways of looking at that and patterning and thinking about those themes. All of this coming to a birthing point with that transit. Now, looking back real quick at 2012, there was not anything super alarming or big at the astrological level with this. I know all the predictions and everything says 2012, and that had an effect. That one thing that you do find is that these three planets, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, are involved in an aspect called a yod, which is Jupiter. They were making a triangle with Jupiter at 8 degrees Gemini, and then Pluto in 8 degrees Capricorn, and Saturn in 8 degrees Scorpio. And so there's a foundation of Pluto and Saturn, and each one was on the other one's sign. So it's a mutual reception, a similar foundation of these themed energies, pointing at Jupiter in Gemini as kind of like an access point or direction. So it's like it was almost like pointing at this expansion, this growth from a foundation of this testing in 2012. But I would put it in the way that 2012 may have been where we rounded the corner and things had gone as deep into materiality and materialism and darkness and just the old, the everything into form as far as it can go, into individualization and separation and forminess and earthiness, and into that side of a swing of polarity. And around the corner now things are going to trend into light, collectivity, connectivity, elucidation, all of the just it's like the play between dark and light. We've gone into the darkness and the depths and the material dark form aspect of things to an extent, and we're now swinging back into the light, subtle, fine vibration of things slowly. And so that started in 2012. I think we are going to see something that shakes things in a direction for that in 2020. So, getting started in a new age or a new era doesn't necessarily have to be all at once. But I do think that around, these last few years until 2020 could have their heavy moments, but it'll be things that are going to yield a really bright future with this Aquarian energy, this new Uranian energy, after this house clearing. I mean, there's a necessary house clearing happening on a cosmic level before a new foundation is set. And there are wonderful implications in a spiritual regard and a soul level. I mean, these are, testing it's both Pluto and Saturn are highly karmic, evolutional concerns with Pluto, initiation and growth with Saturn, but lasting growth and endurance, and then grace and expansion with Jupiter. These big themes are coming together in the solstice of December 21st, 2020. And it will be something we see echo for a while, all the way into 2159. Will Jupiter and Saturn never be in anything but an air sign? So an age of our society based in air, and all of those metaphors and archetypes is right around the corner. So that's a little bit of the spiel. I will also leave some links to a couple articles I read. I decided to make a video instead of write all this because I already read something. I just wanted to express it. But I'll leave the links if you want to read some of this a little bit more. And I'll also direct you to my website, www.archetypeintuitive.com, where I offer other services and write other articles and such. And look forward to hearing from anyone that might have anything to add to the conversation about the excitement. Thanks for listening.